Welcome to a very special Beside the Burn for Monday, the 30th of November. This is the beginning of our Advent season. Yesterday was the first Sunday of Advent, and although normally you would expect an Advent calendar to start on the 1st of December, we're starting a day early at the end of November, leading right up to Christmas. And our plan is to have a little reading each day that will help us focus our thoughts upon Christmas and the season. And in the middle of this coronavirus pandemic and all the uncertainty, one thing is very certain for us. Christmas is going to be different this year. But that doesn't mean that it will be worse than it normally is. What if this is the best Christmas we have ever had? What if what is truly meaningful remains this year? What if we work out what is important about Christmas? What if we reconnect with Jesus this year? So the message that I want us to have this year in this Advent season is, yes, Christmas is different, but I want us to realize that Jesus is better. Whatever it is that's going on in our lives, Jesus is better. So Christmas is going to be different, but Jesus is better. We're facing the uncertainty of the pandemic, but Jesus is better. We don't know how many of our families we'll be able to meet with on Christmas Day, but Jesus is better. And that is our message throughout this little series of Advent. And we're going to do that throughout this Advent season by looking at Jesus Christ. And we're going to focus on Jesus. And we're going to do that by looking at the book of Hebrews. You see it there in the middle of the tree. And we're going to look at Jesus as he's described for us in the book of Hebrews. Now, that may seem like a strange thing to do because Hebrews is not traditionally a book that we would read at Christmas, but that's one of the reasons why we're going into it, because hopefully it will make us think differently, because it's not something that we normally do at this time of year. So during this Advent season, I want us to do two things: read through the book of Hebrews and reconnect with Jesus, who is better than anything else that we can come across during this time. Now, Hebrews is one of those books that sometimes is avoided. We have our favourite passages in it. There are things in Hebrews that we turn to, but as a whole, it's not necessarily a book that we follow through because there are some, I suppose, quite complicated arguments, but we're going to simplify those during this period as we look at Jesus. We could all turn to chapter 11 of Hebrews, that great chapter of faith, and go down the list of all the Old Testament characters who have displayed faith in God. And we will do that as we go through. But there's so much about Jesus in this book that will help us during this time together. I think together we can spend the next month reading the letter and, more importantly, understanding the letter. By the time we get to Christmas, I want us to have understood what God is saying to us in this letter. Now, I'm not sure. I'm planning that we'll get it finished by Christmas. It may take us a little bit longer if we dwell on some of the passages a little bit longer than planned, but we'll see how that goes. And as we approach Christmas, then we'll have this much better understanding of who Jesus is. Now, why are we looking at Hebrews? Well, I saw a book that had just been released in the lead up to Christmas. It's a series of Advent readings based upon Jesus in the book of Hebrews. So that was my initial idea. It's a book called Fixated, but I have to confess I haven't managed to get a copy of it yet, and I haven't managed to read it. But you might well want to get a copy of it and read it alongside. I'm certainly not following day by day what is looked at in Fixated, but if you want to get the book, it will do no harm at all to get another perspective on the book of Hebrews. So let's delve into this book together and let's see what God is going to say to us through it.